Okay, good evening and welcome to the Guy with a Smile. Sorry about that false start a few minutes ago, but we had a little technical problem and my capture software was not seeing the game. So that's worked out and we are up and ready to get into Magic the Gathering Arena. Please keep in mind that any opinions I state on cards are my opinion and based on my experiences and therefore should not be taken 100% as being gospel, as I am not necessarily a high-end player. I make decks the best I can, but I learn predominantly through playing and learning how the rules interact. So, as such, we're going to jump right into it, and let's see here. I've got quest to cast black or red spells, red or green spells, and 40 blue or red spells. Well, I believe I just got a blue-red deck, so let's jump into that, and we'll play blue and red, and that'll cover all of those, at least to some degree. Um, so, Wrath of Mages, and let's see what kind of damage we can do with this. And this is going to be a somewhat shortened stream, as we're going to cut out around 11 o'clock, so this is only going to be about a 45-minute stream, but that should still get us enough time to play several hands and get a feel for this deck. If this is similar to the deck that I played in beta, then it should be a fairly devastating deck if you can get the right cards. Okay, nothing I can get out quick though. No, geez, thanks. Okay, but I got stuff I can do early, so we'll keep that. My opponent is still deciding. I will keep that. Since I can't play anything with 1 mana anyway. This is a defender, so it can only defend. Okay, I'm gonna go with that, and we'll start off with this. You. Probably should have got rid of the defender, but the other one could actually attack and was flying, and was going to start getting out of hand with yes, I know. You've got a Surveil deck built, and that is going to be devastating, so... Good news is... it's a defender, so... well, no, it's no longer a defender. Can't kick it. I can kick it next round though. Still only 4 damage though. Da, 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 da. Actually, did not mean to kick that. Oh well. But that's life. This is what happens when you forget about the interface. Yes, it's only a point of damage. Do what we can. Yes. Like I said, I fully expect to lose this because that is a very specialized deck. And I've got crap cards. But we'll see what comes up. Yeah, I knew that was coming back. We'll go ahead. And keep in mind, I'm not complaining there. I'm just... Yeah, we're just gonna concede that because I can't stop the flyer, so she'll do a damage to me, one damage to me on her next turn, so... It is a very good deck. I've played it very effectively, but it does require you to get certain cards, and they weren't coming up. See, that's a nice one. This can be extremely nice. No, I don't have any creatures, so... Fine. fine, I'll keep that. A2, but... Okay, he's playing a white-green. An island would be nice. Nice. It's a very nice card because it's low cost, but it's vigilant, so attacking doesn't cause it to tap. Actually, I personally find her more annoying, so... Currently do 3 damage. No point in it at the moment. An island would be nice. Please, an island, any island. All I ask for is an island. But 5, 6, 7, I can survive this unless he can do some extra damage to me. And that's that, folks. Handful of blue and can't draw an island to save my life. To a certain degree, that is the danger of a multicolored deck. And I mean, playing the game in real life, I've had that happen to me on dual deck. It's usually not going to happen on duels. I've had it happen fairly frequently in tricolored decks and quads. Okay, lead with that, so I'll keep that. Opponent goes first. Get the Arcanist out though. So, lead with that. Since I can't cast, since I don't have a 1 mana spell, I may as well lead with the one that's going to start off tapped. Okay, that's not bad though. So, do that. Do that. not a bad choice. See, now I'd like to draw a mountain. I'm assuming you have some kind of trick up your sleeve. Deck has really been letting me down today, which is a shame because this was actually one of my favorite decks. If some of my instants and sorceries would start showing up, it would be helpful. Again, I'm assuming you guys have some trick up your sleeve, but I mean, that would have been obvious. He doesn't have double strike. Do that, he can't kill them both. Yeah, unless he has something up his sleeve, but in next round I can bring my Enigma Drake up. It's only one. It's only a 1/4, but it's flying. And sooner or later, I'll start getting to my sorceries and... And that is why you don't give up too early, although I think he did. But we shall see. Green, black, red. Oh, we're gonna play this. We've still got about 25 minutes left to play, so let's see what we can do. And to a certain degree, this is kind of why I always play. I like to play at least 10 hands with a deck before I consider it good or bad. Good mana. I don't have any creatures, but I have some potential ways to get. Oh, that's late. I gotta mulligan that. Which is a shame because I like the mana distribution, but. We'll keep that in prey. See, that's a good start. Actually, cancel that. I may try that, but let's see what else I draw first. That's how I thought that would work, but I wanted to make sure. It depended on if the counter went on before or after the damage was counted, I should say. As odd as that seems. That's 3, that'll only leave me with 1, which won't give me enough to do what I need to do. getting any of the cards that I need. Couldn't nearly do enough damage I couldn't block enough to keep him from killing me. I have not drawn good opponents. Well, actually, I've just not drawn good cards. I really have not had a single. Like I said, this used to be one of my favorite decks, and I have not once drawn a hand that enabled me to use the deck the way it's built to be used. This is looking more promising. Oddly enough, normally I wouldn't do this, but because of the way I know this deck works. A lot of them are based on, like the Enigma Drake, have part of them that is based on the number of sorcery and instant cards that are in your graveyard. So I need to get... So that's the way it's going to be, is it? Since you've killed those two. Okay, you've got some more mana. See, this is more how this deck is supposed to play. Why you chose that one in particular, but that didn't really matter. Target a player. I guess it's technically you can target yourself, so. Guessing that was her saying that she couldn't get anything out that would allow her to block a point of damage. So, and that completed most of our quests. Let's see here, it also gave us some packs to open. Rivals of Ixalan. Is that the last? No, Ixalan is the last. So that's the last pack we're going to buy for a little while. I'm going to build up some coins to be able to participate in some events while we stream. But I'm going to open packs now. We will not open the Ixalan pack because that'll remind us that we're at that point in the cycle. So let's see here. We'll start here. We'll open both of these. Okay, what do we have? We have a land, which can either be blue or red. And given that it specifies that it's a gate, I'm going to guess there are other cards that play off of being able to do things with gates. Undercity Uprising. Creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Then target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. That's a very interesting card. Vicious Rumors deals 1 damage to each opponent. Each opponent discards a card, then puts the top card of their library into the graveyard, and you gain 1 life. For such a cheap card, that is very useful. So you do a point of damage to them, you get a life. They have to discard a card from their hand and put the top card from their library into the graveyard. That can be very useful. And particularly if you have anything that keys off your opponent discarding a card, that can be very very dangerous. Enchant creature, 3/2 +3/+2 and has vigilance for a 4-mana card. That's very nice. Luminous Bonds, enchant creature, can't block or attack. Luminous Bonds has been around for a while, it's just new artwork. It's an extremely handy card to have in any kind of white deck you have because it ties up your opponent's creatures and they can't block or attack. As note, they do stay on the battlefield, so if they have effects like anytime you gain a life, they can put a +1/+1 on target creature. They can still do that, they just can't block or attack. Mentor, which means every time he attacks he can put a +1/+1 counter on any creature with a power lower than him. And since you can tap him to make him a 3/1 creature, I'm wondering if he has the 3 points, if you can do that to any creature that has 2 or less. But I would have to play that to see how that ruling is made. Integrity and intervention, either 1 white or 1 red. Target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Intervention deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. If I'm right, the way these work is you have to cast Integrity, and then once you've cast Integrity, at any point you can cast Intervention, assuming you have the mana to do so. And our rare for this pack was the Knight of Autumn, which is a 2/1 creature. When it enters the battlefield, you can either put 2 +1/+1 counters on the Knight of Autumn, or destroy a target artifact or enchantment, or gain 4 life. Any one of those 3, you get to pick which one when you play it. So you can make it a 4/3 creature. You can remove a target artifact or enchantment from the board, either on one of your creatures, like if somebody has put Luminous Bonds on one of your creatures, you can use that to remove it. If they have an artifact that's causing you trouble, like Icy Manipulator, which allows them to tap one of your creatures. If you don't want a 4/3 creature, there's no artifacts or enchantments you want to destroy, you can just gain 4 life. If it's late game and you're low on life, gaining 4 life may be more advantageous. That would be situational, but cards like that give you a choice. That's the nice thing about that, is even though they are situational, this is a 3/1 mentor, which means that anytime it attacks, it can put a +1/+1 on any lesser power creature. So any creature with a power less than 3. The Burglar Rat, for example, this would be a creature with a power less than 3. Enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Can be useful depending on what your deck is built around, or just making your opponent, and since that's a low mana cost card, it's easy to get out early in the game, which can really mess up somebody's strategy if they are being forced to discard a card and they like all the cards they have in their hand. Dead weight is -2/-2 to a creature. Keep in mind that any creature that, like, if you were to put dead weight on the Blade Instructor, it would kill them. Iron Shell Beetle is a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you can put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Since that triggers after it's entered the battlefield, it can be the target creature. Again, it's a gate, can be either black or green. Another Goblin Banneret. Actually, did we start at the top on these? Or did we get those 2 cards in two packs in a row? I may just be losing it. A 3/2 with haste is very nice, particularly for only 3 mana. And it's a mentor, so every time it attacks, you can put a +1/+1 on creatures that are anything less than 3 power. If you tap a red and a white, then it gains first strike until the end of turn, so that's very handy if you are playing a red-white deck, which you're going to have to be to bring him out at all, and you just have some extra. If you have the extra mana whenever you're going to attack with him, it's a very good thing to do. I believe abilities like that can be done as instants, which means you can do it after your opponent has assigned a blocker. So let's say he assigned a 2/2, but it doesn't have first strike. And normally that would kill him, but you can, if you have the mana available, you can tap it. You can give him first strike, and he does 3 points of damage, kills the other creature, and the other creature never gets a chance to do their damage, and thus saving his life. When your opponent wasn't preparing for that, although realistically, if you have the mana, your opponent should be preparing for that. So, Core Set 2019, we get a wild card. Sparktron Dragon is a 3/3 that you can pay extra mana when it enters the battlefield to do 3 damage to any target. that is a useful ability, but at 5 mana it's kind of an expensive card to cast. So it's going to be something that you're going to be bringing out late game, which means you should have the mana to... Well, keep in mind that it's 5 mana just to bring out the 3/3 Flying Dragon. If you want to do the extra, then it's 8 damage, yes. Or sorry, 8 mana. So it's going to be a very late game before you can really take full advantage of that card. At the very least, it's going to be 8 turns in. And that's assuming you have mana to play every turn. Druid of the Cowl. It's a 1/3, makes it a decent defender that you can get out on the second turn, which is usually easy if you have it in your opening hand, that you can then use as mana. Skyscanner is a 1/1 flyer. It's good as a flying blocker. It's an artifact, so it can trigger off artifact things. And it allows you to draw a card when it enters the battlefield. Greenwald Sentinel we ran into earlier. It's a 2/2 with Vigilance, easy to get out early game, and Vigilance early game can be key, as it allows it to both attack and defend. Inferno Hellion I've run into before. It's a 7/3 with Trample. It's the downside with it is it does a lot of damage, but it can't take a lot of damage. The good thing with it is you can attack with it. Once it attacks, if it attacks or blocks, you can then shuffle it back into your library, and you can protect it that way. So you can do 7 points of damage. If that doesn't kill it, it shuffles back into your library. And okay, and we got a uncommon wild card, and our rare is a 3/3 that creates a 1/1 white soldier. For each non-token creature that you control. So late game, which is when you're going to be bringing this out at 6 mana. Again, it's going to be at least turn 6. Hopefully, if you've got 3 creatures already on the board and you bring this out, then it's a 3/3 that creates 3 1/1 tokens. And you can sacrifice her to give anything with less than 3 power, or less than whatever power she has at that point if you've put enchantments or anything else on her. But if you put a bunch of enchantments on her, you're probably not going to want to sacrifice her. But it can be a way to save a bunch of other creatures, which, depending on your strategy, may be something that's worked. Let's see here. 2/1 glider that can't block. This is nice early game, although at 3 mana it's going to be at least turn 3 before you can get this out. It's only really useful if your opponent has no flying. Ancient Animus. It's an instant, put a +1/+1 on target creature. If it's legendary, then it fights target creature your opponent controls. Basically, make one of your creatures, make a legendary creature stronger, and then have it attack something that your opponent controls. Artificer's Assistant is a 1/1 that flies and allows you, if you cast a historic spell, allows you to look at the top card of your deck and either discard it or put it on top of your deck. Vicious Offering is a 2 mana spell that you can kick by sacrificing a creature. If you kick it, then the creature gets a -5/-5, otherwise it gets a -2/-2. Again, keep in mind that if you reduce the defense to 0, this creature dies regardless, so like this, without kicking it, I can kill that. I can't kill that. But if I kick it, I can kill that. Frenzied Rage, creature gets +2/+1 and has menace, so if I put this on, say, the Glider, then it becomes a 4/2 creature that has to be blocked by at least 2 creatures. Can be a very useful card, and with a low mana cost. And there's some red creatures that would be an amazing thing to put on. In fact, they're probably in that red-blue deck, but well, no, they probably aren't. creatures that you control with a power or toughness of 1 or less can't be blocked. So power or toughness. So like you put that on there, it can't be blocked. It can't block and it cannot be blocked. Well, sorry, you don't put it on there. It's a thing. Yeah, that's an interesting card. That would be very interesting in certain blue decks. Board the Weatherlight. It's a sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal a historic card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And the Banalish Marshal is a 3/3, and all other creatures you control get a +1/+1. Very useful card. And at 3 white, not hard to get out. And Rivals of Ixalan, not my favorite expansion, but does have some nice cards. Squire's Devotion gives a creature +1/+1 and gives it lifelink, and it creates a 1/1 vampire token with lifelink. Can be very nice. I think I have a white black deck that uses this with a bunch of vampires. An Orc Pirate that is a 3/3, and you want to have at least one other pirate out before you cast it, otherwise you lose 2 life. For example, this would be another pirate that you could have out. It's a 2/1 with Menace. Interestingly enough, that means 2 creatures have to block it. It's going to die in that case, unless they both do 0 damage. Moment of Triumph is a very useful card. +2/+2 until the end of turn, and you gain 2 life. I have that in my my white-black deck. Ascend, which means if you control more than 10 permanents on the board, you get the Blessing of the City for the rest of the game, which that has more effect on depending on the other cards you have in your deck. Merfolk Scout. When Forerunner of the Heralds enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a Merfolk card, reveal it, and then shuffle your library and put that card on top. When another Merfolk enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on the Forerunner of the Heralds. So, let you find a Merfolk, put it on the top of your deck so that you will draw it next turn, unless somebody forces you to discard it. And then every time you play a Merfolk, it becomes that card becomes stronger. So it's a card that people want to get rid of quickly, because chances are, if it's in your deck, that you're playing a Merfolk deck, which means most, if not all, of your creatures are going to be Merfolks. This is one that I've had a red-black deck that was based around this card. Well, not that card specifically, but that was one of the cards that it was based around. Other attacking pirates that you control get +2/+0. I believe it is considered. So I believe if it is attacking, it gets +2/+0, but I could be wrong. I may be misremembering that. I'd have to play it to find out. The Bishop Binding. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until Bishop of Binding leaves the battlefield. Basically, you put it under the bishop, and as long as he's on the battlefield, that creature is essentially removed from the game. Whenever the Bishop of Binding attacks, target vampire gets +X/+X, where X is the power of the exiled card. So you want to use this to exile say a 3/3. And then anytime it attacks, another vampire gets, well, a target vampire, which I believe can be it, would get +3/+3. A very handy creature to have, particularly late game, when your opponent is more likely to have some powerful creatures that allows you to remove that creature and then turn the power of that creature against your opponent. So very handy card, very nice one to get, and hopefully we'll build some decks around that. I'm not going to open that so that we remember where we left off. And really, I need one more blue or red spell. We're already over, folks, so I'm going to have to end it there. Because no, we're going to play one more. Yeah, we'll play with that deck again. Because I don't care if we win or lose. So let's see what we can do one more time for a quick final match before we call it a night. Actually, that's a pretty good starting deck because I got something I can literally play first turn. Although I may just go ahead and play the Highland Lake. Yeah, I'll open with the Highland Lake because that's going to come in tap, so I either need to play it first turn or I need to hold it and play a late game. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to hold it and play it later. Just because I want to get that out. Again, notice I don't have any of my don't have any sorceries or instants coming up in my hand. This I find somewhat annoying. No attacks. Not until I can get rid of that Pranodon. Take 3 damage for now. Two with Death Touch. I'll take the damage. And yeah, I know you can just recast it, but that was a better showing of that deck than some of the other games that we had, but still not a great showing. But yeah, that deck is based around sorceries and instants and using them to trigger other cards like that. So, yeah, we can get a new deck tomorrow. Wonder what it'll be. But and that is going to be it for tonight. I appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out with me. I hope everybody had a good time, and we'll see each other tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be streaming, assuming I can get it set up before the stream. We will be streaming Assassin's Creed Odyssey, starting a new playthrough. Well, starting a brand new blind jeez, I cannot talk tonight. Blind playthrough as we start to explore ancient Greece as a Spartan hero. Hopefully, look forward to it, and well, hopefully you guys are looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I hope to see you there. And until then, stay positive and keep smiling, and we'll see you next time on The Guy with a Smile. And pretend this is a stream is ending plaque instead of a be right back. Thank you. We will get our custom graphics here soonish, and we'll really have some fun then. Take care and have a good night.